Who's the biggest disappointment so far this year on the Cardinals? Go.
I mean, there's like
who is it?
You could give me 5 names.
Give me the biggest one. The biggest disappointment so far.
Nolan Gorman.
Okay. Thought maybe you'd say Goldie.
Goldie's trending better now.
He's trending better.
But
Arenado's trending a little better. No,
I might say Jordan
Here's
Walker.
the thing. Well, and we can try that as well.
Yeah.
And there was a text on the
say-
text line that mentioned where the Simps didn't mention that he's hitting 333 with Memphis. But
Yeah, sorry.
Walker's a year behind Gorman, right? Walker had a rookie year. Gorman had 2 where he was pretty productive. And look, there was a lot of conversation about, and whether this was a conversation for the team or not, maybe it was just us and the public, Kat, but hey, do you trade a position player from a surplus to get a pitcher, the type of pitcher you don't have? And I don't know if that was even an option. I don't know if other teams were looking to get a Nolan Gorman for a pitcher. But that, I think, is the perception. And then to see Nolan Gorman not only not take a step forward, but take a pretty definitive step back to this point in the year, that would probably be my answer. Maybe not fair to him because it's a young player. And like you said, Goldschmidt's a guy who's, there are expectations attached to that. He's getting paid money. He's getting, he's got the pedigree. But people also could have thought, Goldie might take a step back. He's getting up there in age a little bit. I think relative to all of it, all encompassing, I think Gorman might be my answer. I don't know about you.
And Walker is posting numbers, and his hard hit ball rate, from what I read, is okay, right? But they want him to lift and pull, and he still is not doing enough of that.
But this is year 2 of that kind of being a conversation.
Listen,
at some point, is a guy just what he is, and you got to maybe stop
and let him eat.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the discussion was with him before they sent him down. From what I understand, they wanted him to get the ball in the air more. That's what I was told. And if he's not doing that, but I agree, at some point, if a kid's hitting and he's posting some numbers and you're not at the major league level, maybe it's time to revisit.
Yeah, and it is an interesting conversation because there are all these specific things that they harp on Jordan Walker about, and I say they. I mean, well, they did send him down, and like you said, there's this, whether it's just a narrative or I think you would know that's kind of the thing they want to see from him, lift and pull. But then, like we talk about Arenado, and it's like, he's got to be able to hit to all fields. Well, why? No, he doesn't. They need to pull more fly balls because that's where you can be successful. I don't know. There's some weirdness to me in the way that we look at one player versus another sometimes.
Well, I think with a veteran, there's the difference to me.
That could be.
When a veteran is going the other way, that when they're not normally doing that tells me they're working their swing out. Now, it could all be nonsense. I don't know. I'm not a hitting coach. But I've seen that in the past where when guys start going the other way, they're figuring out their swing, and then they're able to kind of push back into what they normally do. In some cases, not all, but I've seen it. That's the precursor to suddenly finding your groove again.
Right. It's not maybe that he's trying to go the other way because he just wants to be different about it. He's struggling, and then that could be a sign that you're starting to get back to yourself.
Who's a positive this year?
Mason Wynn.
Kyle Gibson.
Kyle Gibson was going to be my
number
answer.
one.
Helsley.
Also known
Helsley,
as Gibby.
too.
Helsley's unbelievable.
Helsley is what he is. Mason Wynn is a guy who had 176 last year, who is, if things go according to plan, will be at shortstop, I believe, for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think he's a dynamic player that's still learning how to hit, and he's only going to get better. I honestly think the Helsley stuff, and he took some grief last year, he's always been effective. Right?
He was pretty confident when he's on the mound,
His numbers last year were ridiculously good. They just weren't otherworldly like they were in 2022, and he missed some time, so people
He had
knocked him for
injuries,
that.
and there was a back and forth about how
Guess
he was
what?
going to be
Pitchers have
used.
injuries.
I get that. I always liked him, and when I talked to him, he's like, I'm ready to go back to back. I think his thing was
pick a lane.
I don't want to come in the 6 and work 2 innings.
You can't ask him to do both.
Right.
And I think
so
that's
he's
right.
not wrong.
And fans will harp on that, and I think the narratives get a little bit twisted. And this happened with Josh Hader, too. Josh Hader kind of said the same thing, and a big reason for this, and you might say it shouldn't be this way, but in arbitration, and this guy's a guy who's been through an arbitration hearing in Ryan Helsley, what do they go out and say? Well, he didn't get this many saves. You have to kind of cater a little bit to what you're paid to do, and if a team is going to try to play it both ways, have their cake and eat it too, use you because, he's this versatile, we can use him in any, and then you turn around and go, well, he didn't get very many saves last year, I would be pissed too. I don't know if that's exactly what happened with Helsley, but I think there are probably some parallels to when Josh Hader is going through that, And then he now is on the Astros and says, no, I don't really mind. You can do whatever. Well, he's got his contract now, and you can't. It's almost like running backs in football. If you try to take a closing pitcher and use him, and abuse him, and then you won't turn around and pay the guy, it's like, well, what was I doing all this for in the first place?
I agree.
It doesn't really feel right
and
to me.
It's always about money. But I also, in talking to Helsley, got the impression, look, I'm better when I know what my role is. It helps me prepare.
A lot of relievers are like that. That's not new.
Almost all of them are like that.
Yes.
The other guys are really the outliers. And so now they're like, all right, you're one of the guys when we're up and there's a save. Hey, we might ask you to go 2 days in a row. We might need you in the 8th. And he's fine with that.
Might need the last out of the 8th, right? Something like that.
And he's fine with that. So they gave him a role, which he asked for, that's kind of specific. And he's excelling.
Guess what? He's the best reliever in baseball. Like that,
unhittable.
He's almost automatic in situations where they've gone into the 9th inning up. Right, you had the game where it was extra innings and Alec Boehm hit the ball over the bag and they lost that in the 10th. But that's you get a free base runner on second. That's not really. I don't put that on Helsley necessarily. And they walked Harper too, which they wouldn't have otherwise done. Yeah, he's been unbelievable, and I think it's a credit to the Cardinals that they've now realized, hey, we can do it this way. We don't have to have Ryan Helsley be all things to all people at all times. He can be our closer and be really damn good at it.
Who's the other guy that they mentioned?
Oh, I was just going to continue to echo Brendan's point. I think it's incredible what Ryan Helsley has done this season. He's going to make a great New York Yankee by the end of the year.
Oh, God dang, Cole!
Or you know what? A Baltimore Oriole, because they got some hitting prospects, baby. And if this lineup doesn't turn
if you
around,
put him next to Felix Bautista.
Well, and he's injured this year. That's a thing.
The entire year?
Yeah,
entire year. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he had surgery off season or at some point.
All right, then send him to San Francisco with Camilo Doval. Make him a 1-2 combination with somebody.
Orioles, man. Here's the thing.
Johan Duran.
Ryan Helsley's got
Minnesota.
next year still on team control. Cat, if the Cardinals are at the deadline 9 games under, would you trade him? Because you could really think about this.
I'd have to consider it. I
the
wouldn't
Royals,
want to.
The Royals last summer. Let's go back even further. The Royals last offseason signed Aroldis Chapman to a 1-year deal. And when they did it that day, I said they just got themselves a nice little piece at the deadline. And it turned into Cole Reagans, who is like kind of one of their aces now. And Kansas City's above 500 playing good baseball. Ryan Helsley's got another year of team control attached and is pitching way better than Aroldis Chapman was last summer.
So I wonder.
You could get a ton for him.
And he's not hanging out with his grandma.
So
no.
This is mom.
Your closer in waiting is either JoJo or just a theory, because I've heard this. They think Liberatore.
I was going to say, are you going to tell me about
Libby? Closer?
Yeah,
and that's maybe why they were so reluctant to put him in the starting spot where they need that.
Well, Cat, if that's the case, my argument to the Cardinals would be to go ahead and bring up a 5th starter if you're that reluctant.
Ooh.
It doesn't matter. Pick one from Memphis, because guess what? That's your starting depth.
Not McGreevy.
Remember?
Lit up.
Even if it is McGreevy, guess what? You drafted him in the 1st round, right? You got to find out. And if you already know, then stop wasting your time and you can go ahead and cut him.
Yeah, you know what?
I would say
when a first
would
round
be my
pick,
answer
Probably.
to that question.
And who knows how these guys pan out. But if you have a first-round pick who you believe has talent that hasn't brought it to the forefront at AAA, if you're worried about trying to get something out of this draft choice, the move might not be, hey, your ERA is 6 at AAA. Now we're bringing it to the big.
Here's where I disagree with you. Soon, and I wish I knew offhand with him specifically. I still think he might have a little bit more time, but eventually you're going to run into Rule 5 and into 40-man roster stuff, and you're going to either cut a guy or let him walk or whatever. And so far from McGreevy specifically, yeah, they haven't seen what they would want to see to call him up. But Graceffo at one point was minor league pitcher of the year, and then he's kind of stalled out a little bit at AAA. But sometimes you do see a guy that just the numbers at AAA. It's hard to maybe produce as a pitcher all the time. You should, right? You should play well there, and then you can elevate to the big leagues and improve. But sometimes different strike zone down there, different things. I don't mind trying out a guy. What I do have a problem with is Liberatore pitches 50 pitches, does a nice job. 4 days later, you're going to use him out of the bullpen. Then 3 days later, you're going to tell him you're going to start again. Pick a lane. And if you're going to have him be in the rotation, I'm good with it. But don't use him as a reliever in between.
But they've had situations come up that are. I agree.
I'm
but
just saying,
sometimes the
it's
season
enough.
unfolds and you're not able to do what you want.
I get
to
it,
do.
but this is the second year of them doing this with this particular player, and then you turn around and say this guy can't start. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have the makeup to do it. Whatever. How could you know that if you've never really given him a shot every fifth day? This is why people harp on the stuff like a Sandy Alcantara, where you see a guy a little bit and you go, we know what he is. We can trade him. I'm just saying, this is not a new phenomenon for the
They
Cardinals.
knew Alcantara was good. They just needed.
All right,
They needed pieces.
I get
What
it.
hell's he going to want after this? What kind of contract's he looking at?
A lot of money. I just don't know.
So say
if
he has
you're-
the same
Are you
years.
kidding me? The way he's going to give him a hometown discount.
Yeah.
He'll probably say, "Hey,
Yeah.
2.5 a year for 3."
That seems
What do you
fair.
think?
Maybe an
Yeah.
option.
And you know what?
Well, there's an option. He
I
got.
flipped my
They'll
opinion.
send me in there, and I'll get it done.
I have flipped my opinion with more information because that's how this works. Upon further review, I no longer think that investing in relievers long term is a good idea. So you know what? Get rid of them now while you can.
All right.
And I wish the Pirates did that with David Bednar before he started sucking this
Yeah.
year.
There was a
They
time.
won last night.
Yes, they did.
There was a
In
time
Wrigley,
where
I-
Cardinals fans wanted them to do that with Alex Reyes, and that probably would have worked. I mean, again, how often have the Cardinals sold a guy at his peak? Almost never.
Yeah,
and I'm not
that's true.
saying that's a.
Well, they've rarely been sellers to begin with.
No, I understand that, but that was a summer where it was like, you're kind of on the borderline. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And ultimately, I think that was the year you get Chris Taylored, and you lose after one game in the playoffs. But around July, they weren't really trending in a great direction. You could go, that's an all-star closer. Maybe you could get a lot for him. Mm-hmm. They just don't. And I'm not saying that's even wrong because the Cardinals always want to be contending. But now that the last couple of years they haven't been, you could look back at that process and go, maybe you could have tried to be a little more bold in some of those trade.
What would the
talks.
Cardinals have to give up? What would the Cardinals have to give up to get our boy Jackson Holliday?
I don't know that that's even.
I'm just saying.
What do you think, Kat? Ryan Helsley for Jackson Holliday? You
Helsley, Walker.
I don't even think it would. I mean, I'm thinking
He's untouchable.
Siani. But you got to package.
I'm not trading.
You package up with Siani.
I'm not trading.
Matt Carpenter.
You got to take somebody else. You can't take Siani.
What do you think they would want if they even wanted to
Yeah,
tease
no,
it?
they're not.
Give him Gibson back. They really miss him.
They're not talking about trading.
I'm just
he's
asking.
not
All right,
on the
what if
table.
they call him
Just
back up
asking.
You know what they would
June
do?
1st, and then he struggles for another 2 months, and then it's the deadline?
They would
He's
do a
hitting
shortstop
170.
swap.
They're not trading.
They would take Mason Wynn.
Oh, yeah. Wynn
That
and
would,
Helsley,
that would
probably.
be the first name out of their mouths, I guarantee.
Would you do that? Wynn and Helsley for Jackson Holliday?
I would not do that.
No, because that would be just playing because
What would you? Would you, Jimmy? You didn't answer. What do you think?
Because I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't think I would do that.
Wynn
Might.
and Helsley for Jackson Holliday.
I just think Wynn is going to be great. So
Jackson Holliday's got more upside offensively
yes.
than Mason.
Although
yeah,
Wynn,
but let's not do the. He's Matt Holiday's son, and Matt Holiday's a Cardinal, so
That's not what I
Jackson
said.
Holliday should be.
But
I-
Wynn
that's,
also-
that's baked into this.
Why?
no, it isn't.
You want Matthew
No,
Tkachuk
it isn't.
too, don't you?
That's
I
baked
knew
into
it.
your brain.
Except
Brady.
Matthew Tkachuk's actually good.
You're
Jackson Holliday is probably going to be pretty good too.
What's wrong with
Mason Wynn too?
what's
Perhaps.
wrong?
And look, I don't know.
You didn't like Mason when he
Well-
hit 176. You cheap choker.
Well, we're talking about a bunch of rookies, so I don't know what any of these guys are going to be at this point.
That's true.
So this is all just a coin flip.
Mason Wynn in his minor league career had pop too. Like I honestly think he's going to be a
He's going
20
to
homer
settle in. I
guy.
don't know about 20, 15, 13 to 15.
We're in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that he hasn't really learned how to dominate on the base pass. He's going to make for a lot of nervous infielders once he gets that down and gets his legs under.
Has he? How many
He's gonna
times has
be
he
really
gotten
good.
caught? He's gotten 7 steals, only 1 caught. I mean, that's pretty good.
He's not running a lot.
Not a ton, but
Well, the Cardinals aren't running.
we're at what?
Well, they're always behind.
A
I
little-
get that, but I don't think he has weaponized to the best extent the speed that he has. We've seen it sometimes when he's going first to third or scoring from first base. We've seen a little. I'm just saying that's going to come more to the forefront, and we're going to see some pop out of him.
All right,
I really
Cole, what
like
about what about Walker and Helsley for Jackson?
Well, I don't like the idea. If you're moving Wynn or Walker, I don't like the idea of adding an all-star closer. Again, not good long-term investment, but for the time being. So I'd say no.
Okay.
Just because
I'm just asking.
But we've seen a little more of Jordan Walker than we have Mason Wynn at the big league level. You at least have the full year of Walker.
And I liked what Jordan Walker did. Now
He did some good things last year.
Now, if you're a right-handed pitcher, just throw him a slider low and away, and the job is done.
But does that concern you in a way that would make you go, well, Jackson Holliday, maybe?
No, he's a rookie. Or was a rookie last year.
Was a rookie.
I'd also like to see how he's doing in the field, because that's another issue with Walker.
He was good, though. When he was up here at the beginning, he was fine. I don't think
He was fine. I wouldn't say good. I would
Okay.
say, and again, he's a kid. We always forget he's a kid. A lot of those kids his age are still in the minors.
And a third baseman. He's not.
Right.
I mean,
it's his second year learning a brand new position. Now Scheffler's
update.
taking these warm.
Yep.
Where's his orange shirt?
He said
He changed clothes.
There was a big misunderstanding. I thought I was doing what they asked me to do,
Yeah.
and also I noticed that he's on the putting green. No, he's on the driving range with an ankle bracelet.
yeah, they should have taken that off.
Sometimes they care and sometimes they don't, Jimmy. I'll
They
tell you
should
that
have
right now.
taken that
Yeah, so he
off.
says, I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this all behind us. Anyway,
They will. I could tell.
He's going to dominate today, dude. He's like, you guys, like, come on. I just want to see the damn video. Cole with the bombs today. Grumpy Cole brings the heat. Holy hell.
Is it fun?
She likes Grumpy Cole.
There we go.
What was the bomb?
That Helsley's going to be a Yankee at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think if you're out of it in July, he is the most valuable trade asset that you have. More so than
ready-made, ready
Arenado,
to go.
more
I
so than
agree.
Goldie. And heck, if I'm Ryan Helsley, I probably love it in St. Louis, whatever. Chance to pitch.
Of course he does.
Chance to be a dude in a playoff run this year. That'd be kind of fun, man. I wouldn't even mind being traded if it's not going well in St. Louis. You're the only guy on the team that's like.
What are you saying?
selling.
What are you
Of
saying?
course he would want that.
What are you saying? You're going to be traded to the Big 550 so you can sit in their show on Fridays?
No, he's going to be traded to the Round
Got
Rock
stars
Express.
in my eyes. Don't get me too
Stars
excited.
in my eyes. We're going to play that on the way back. Jukebox Hero.
There you go.
Foreigner.
But no,
Yeah, you like this.
It's possible.
I love
I wonder
Foreigner.
what they do, Kat, if it really came down to it and they were they're 10 games under in July and you're like, yeah, one more year, Helsley. You either probably offer that contract extension early to say, hey, if we're going to have this guy, we're going to lock
You
him
think
up.
he's taking it? The season's going the way it is?
I wouldn't. And that's the thing that you got to remember, too, when fans say, they should have signed Jordan Montgomery. They should have done that. They have to write their name. They have to agree to do it.
Yeah,
At
it's
the
two-way
At the
street.
dollar amount that you offer them.
Two-way street, baby.
Oftentimes, guys bet on themselves.
I talked to Montgomery about it, and I think he was, if they did it early on, he would have been fine looking at it. That doesn't mean he'd sign. But at some point when I asked him, he said, too late. They had their chance. Exact words. Too late. They
Was
had
that
their chance.
after early May when that too late happened?
Yeah, probably.
Probably so.
If we get Jackson Holliday, I bet his dad becomes the Cardinals bench coach, Latteris.
You know what?
Probably true.
It's actually not a bad call.
I wouldn't mind Matt Holliday being the hitting coach.
We'll love that.
We had somebody texting us now, and this is not the first person. We've had people text us before, but everybody's changing their tune on Jeff Albert all of a sudden.
Oh, they used to love him, right?
Yeah.
Free Jeff
I
Albert.
always loved Jeff Albert. That's what people are probably saying.
Yeah.
And they're full of
But
crap.
are you just no offense, but that's your posse. Like
How?
Well, they were the first. Like you would have put him in a pasture with a gun to his head.
You would have
and
had
then
a
they would
picture.
have.
Yeah, but he's
and
still
then
in the
now he'd
pasture.
be great. You know, like
He's still in the pasture.
And by the way, he wasn't even fired. He left of his own. Like he did
Well, the
one
text,
out.
The text line ran him out of town.
Yeah, our text line did.
They
It was
sold
this text line.
He had
specifically.
had enough. He
And
had
Twitter.
had enough.
Well, enough of what? Kat?
I'd forgotten about that.
Enough of what?
He read all that stuff. People
Yeah.
wanted him out of town. He'd had enough. So he went. You know what? What is he doing now? He's an advisor. You don't have to deal with anything.
I think his title officially is guru.
And then Mike Maddox left with him, and then won a World Series.
that didn't happen.
yeah.
Pac-Man says they sold Colby Rasmus at the absolute max value and won a World Series.
That's a good one. I
go,
would say
Pac-Man.
maybe not the absolute max value,
I
but
can't remember. Who
they
get?
did it when
They got
You
Zepchinski.
can't remember who they got. That was
Yeah.
the whole trade where they got all the
Zepchinski,
guys
Edwin
in 11.
Jackson.
That's right. They got
Octavio
a lot of.
Dotel.
Corey Patterson was kind of
Those
not
are the
relevant,
four, yeah.
but
They got
Dotel
bullpen help.
and Scrabble. They were helpful, and Edwin Jackson
That's
had
right.
some
They got an arm barn.
Yeah, they got they got the
bunch of short-term assets that turns out they needed them at the time.
I don't know if they still have it, but they got the snack pack like you used to get as a kid, where it has some Doritos in there and some Fritos.
Yeah.
and then there's some
Variety
you don't
pack.
right, and some you don't like, right? But you keep Zepchinski
Yeah.
and you keep Dotel.
Yeah, That is kind
like
of
Gardetto's.
I would say they did not sell Colby at the absolute max value, but they made a decision that needed to be made at the time, clearly, for what if they were going to make it happen.
Do you think that package that they got, like everyone's like, they're in? No. Between the coaching staff and La Russa, they made it work.
Yeah.
Do you think the fans will boo Tyler when he returns? No. I will bet you $1 million they'll cheer for him, and he'll take his hat off and wave and do his thing.
They don't really boo players in their return in St. Louis. I know that you probably wouldn't like that, but they don't. They don't generally boo.
They don't.
Do you think he gets like a full moment where like the catcher steps in front of home plate? You think he gets one of those?
No, he's just going to.
No, the look on your face tells me no.
No, but he'll take his. He'll do his thing.
Well, that means that
it'll be brief.
Who's starting to catch?
It's a younger player, right? Contreras got to do the thing when it was.
But it's also a player that was sideways with your own manager. So Herrera isn't going to say, "Hey, guy that obviously Ollie doesn't like. Let's give you your moment."
I almost wish it was
because
Wilson.
Ollie's going to tell him not to let him have the moment.
I almost wish it was Wilson back there because I would know that. I would have liked to have seen that. If it was Contreras, he did it for Paulie D 2 weeks ago. And let's say the fans are really giving Tyler the love. Do you step out in front of? I don't think the catcher tonight will, because I don't think it'll be as large as the Paulie D ovation was.
That was a long one.
It was a long one.
Yeah.
People will clap for Tyler. Yeah. I don't think it'll be as pronounced unless there's enough of the Twitter warriors there that think that he got run out of town and he was right and Ollie was wrong. You might get some of those people that will, really let Tyler O'Neill have the applause.
Will he get a video montage on the scoreboard?
I don't think there will be a video montage.
Jim!
Yeah, right here.
I've always liked him, quote, when describing literally any player who's ever worn the Cardinals uniform, past or present. God, you're a simp, Wombat.
Well, you're a jerk. Because the truth is, most of these guys I don't get to know that well. I liked him as a player.
Yeah.
And I was the one that said he's going to have a big year, and I was dead wrong. But, yeah, always liked him. Is that a bad way to describe it?
Jordan Walker will be up this June for this June 6th bobblehead day. Book it now.
I thought he already had his bobblehead day.
I think he did.
He did. I have it on my desk in my basement. That's how I know it.
Brandon.
Still in the box.
Brandon, question.
What's up?
Brandon Crawford.
If they are 10 games under 500 at the All-Star break, is Ollie more likely to be fired or get another extension? Wombat.
Well, he's not getting another extension. And look, I mean, there was a time last weekend where I thought, there was a time last weekend where I thought, I don't know what they're going to do. They might make a move now. I don't know.
Felt like one might be coming.
It felt like it felt.
And then they won that final game.
Well, and then they won 2 in Los Angeles of Anaheim, and now you're like, okay, let's see. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're fixed and everything's better because they won a series.
Again, a dumb detail, but don't they have like a really long homestand now, like 10 games?
9 games.
So you're probably
Let's see what it looks like.
You probably want to do something like this when you're home and you have a lot of games in which to do it. So you got to win. Why don't we put this off? And if that's the way they were thinking, and then we'll see how it goes at home, because generally those things are done when they're home.
I hate to talk in these real serious terms about a potential coaching or managerial firing as if it's imminent, because we don't really know. Right. But then when one happens, like they've happened before, then you don't want to look back and say, see, I told you so, because I didn't, probably, right? I maybe was surprised by it. Certainly was by Schilt, but that wasn't mid-season. In this case, I'm saying if they start this homestand, they lose a bunch of games and it's going bad, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't stun me to my core if in the next 10 days we're having that kind of conversation. So to the question of the Wombat, if they're 10 under at the deadline, it might have already happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not advocating for it, but I'm just telling you, it felt last weekend. I was at a wedding. I was away, so maybe I was kind of worried I was going to miss something, but it felt like, man, they better win a game because this is getting ugly.
Who was the reporter that reported Ollie is losing his support?
It's not a reporter. It's not a reporter.
I'm just telling you, whoever reported that, it isn't true, because no one knows that.
It's not a reporter, or it's an anonymous person, and I'm not going to get into it any deeper than that, because
Why?
I'll talk to. I'm just not doing it. If it's the report that I think it is, it's an anonymous person who has an account that
you think is a fraud. Just say it.
I don't engage with the account. I just don't have anything to do with it.
That's all you got to say.
I refuse.
I know what you're saying.
Because when I heard
what
that,
you're saying, baby.
I saw other people. I don't know where it came from, but I saw that tweet and I was like, "Yeah, that's not true." Like,
I refuse on principle.
How do you even like? No one knows that's accurate. I'm just saying. The Cardinals are holding their cards very close on that.
I have not seen anybody with a real government name put their name to that report.
With a real government name.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody in a non-anonymous way say, "Here's what it is."
Look, the date is set, and it's June 13th. That is Ollie's Judgment Day. If you lose the series of the Pirates,
Juneteenth,
his career's over.
That's a month from now.
Well,
they've got the Red Sox, they've got the Orioles, and they've got the Cubs coming into town in the next 10 days.
Oh, that's good. We're
going to learn. We're going to learn some things.
Learn a lot.
That's the 3 winning teams. Red Sox are right around 500. The other 2.
Update on Scottie the Body Scheffler.
The body.
He is about to tee off in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Will he duff the ball? Will it be right down the pipe? Will he swing and miss and swing out of his shoes and his belt falls off and his pants fall down?
Ankle bracelet falls off.
Yeah, the ankle bracelet gets in the way.
Look at what he's doing right now. He's throwing out gang signs.
Yes,
he's throwing out gang signs.
No, he just got a tattoo in prison,
Did you see?
He got the tattoo.
And this guy is off his rocker.
why is Scotty's hair braided?
Well, Andy was in there.
We know this, but Antonio Brown on Twitter did a post of him already
God.
with a teardrop on his face, which I did laugh at.
AB don't play.
I did laugh at that.
I'm super pro cop, but it was likely a deal where Scottie was trying to explain something and the cop was going bonkers and had no interest in listening to anything and just escalated from there. Putty chains. That could be the case. We shall see when the video pops up because there will be a video. Cameras are everywhere. They're filming
News crews were there, right?
Exactly.
Like it should have been.
Let's figure this out.
We've seen the walk. We've seen the walk with him. That's on video, but the actual incident isn't, which is interesting.
It's interesting.
I have seen
under investigation, maybe
overzealous guards in my time at the ballparks over the years.
Me too.
I have seen overzealous. I'm not saying police because they don't really handle media, but I have seen overzealous guards.
Me too, Jimmy. That's what I'm saying.
You can't go in there. No, I think I can. I have the credential, and I was told I can't access that. Can we chat? I'm always nice.
Of course.
But I've seen overzealous guards.
You really don't need a credential to get into the ballpark?
I wear a credential every
okay.
day.
You joked that you were joking. You said, I don't need one.
First of all, I wouldn't ever assume.
Right.
So I always have my
Scottie Scheffler, might you assume, because you've never probably had to show your card before, it's understandable how it might have happened. That's all I was saying.
Maybe. You know what I do, though, with my credential, because I'm a veteran, I always tie it around my belt.
You don't like to wear it.
Down.
You don't like to wear yours.
No.
It's a fashion statement that you're making.
I don't like to wear it. I don't like to wear it around my neck.
I do.
Because if you ever done television and you go to do stand-ups, you're going to end up doing a stand-up with a credential around your neck. You're going to forget.
You don't want that.
So I always tie it around my belt so I don't.
In your case, you're right. You do TV. That's totally different.
Yeah. Big Science chimes in from live from Vegas. What's up, baby? What are your thoughts about Albert Pujols being a better manager than Yadi? Not for the Cardinals, but for any team. The big boy wants to know.
How would you know?
We wouldn't. But who would be a better big league manager of the two if you had to pick one?
All right, I'm going to go.
If you had to pick one,
I'm going to go with Albert.
I think so.
Yeah,
here's why.
I was going to say.
Again, it's just hearsay, and I apologize, but I talked to players. But when he was in L.A. with the Dodgers and was having a miserable season and seemed cranky when I interviewed him.
Yeah.
Like down, cranky, mad that the Cardinals hadn't signed him back then. He was.
He wanted to come back, yeah.
But the Dodger players told me, there was like 2 or 3 that I talked to. One of them was Joe Kelly. And he said, you won't believe how good he is with the young players. Like, he is unbelievable. Whatever they need, he's helping them with. And I'm thinking that's the kind of thing that could make for a good manager.
I think he could be really good if he gets into the right situation. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen. It seems like he wants it. We've heard that Yadi wants it too. We'll just see. Maybe both of them end up in a role at some point. But I think of the two, it's not to say that Yadi couldn't do a good job. We could get into all of that, but I think
just
Albert
don't see,
would be my
like the fire. Like if Yadi's your manager, like you think at minimum it's going to add fire to the team, right? Because he don't play around. But are all the things that are required of a manager in Yadi's wheelhouse? I don't know.
I don't know either.
This is a fair question, but I think for both of them it would be like in this part doesn't matter as much as some of the other stuff, but the media relation part. from what I heard, Albert was pretty prickly back in his day. But then I didn't cover him, right? I was in high school, and then he comes back, and I was in part of that and got to see that a little bit. And I think maybe I get the sense that he was different. He softened a bit, maybe not a ton, but a bit.
Here we go. Okay, he's walking up to the ball right now. He's doing his little dance. He's getting his groove on. Scottie Scheffler.
I'm sure
he's putting his Glock down.
He put his Glock down, and here he goes. He's eyeing it up.
Okay.
He's looking down the fairway. It's a little rainy.
Jim Nantz over here.
Let's see what he does. Oh, he duffed it. He duffed it.
Stripes
oh,
it.
my. No,
No,
it's right down the pipe.
now it's fading right.
Uh-oh. A little
tailing,
slicey
it's
poo.
tailing, it's
oh, my
tailing.
God. Prison got him. Oh, my
he's in the rough.
word. He's in the rough.
He hit a guy.
Oh, he hit the guy. Now he's going back to jail. Wow.
He's distracted.
Wow.
All right, you've seen one shot.
Wow.
He's a head case
It's
right
over.
now.
Do you still think he's going to win the tournament?
Yeah.
I
think
can't
he's
see
gonna
where
be good.
that is in relation to the hole. Because the guy that was on the course was like, yes.
No,
maybe it's
no,
close.
he just
no,
knew he was
No,
on
he's happy
TV.
he's on TV.
Jim, that was a bad shot.
Okay, I couldn't
Went
tell
on
where the
wrong
hole is.
side of the
The
bunker.
distance
I will
was
say
fine.
that all the inmates are there
They're there cheering him on.
with holding up number one fingers. All the inmates are there.
His hair's braided. God, cool. That's what you do, though. You don't want to be a hair braider in jail. All righty.